The watch business is similar to the stock market. They really are commodities, right? The watches that you're selling.
And that's kind of what helped it jump in during the COVID times is in with crypto and everything like that is people wanted different places to put their money. And it's a good spot to hold your money as if you look at charts of, just Rolex charts from the years ago. Like watches my grandfather sold 30 years ago for $1,500. Today that watch is probably worth $2,500.
Carl and Josh Giganti from Giganti and Giganti Jewelers, welcome to the table. Obviously, you guys are very, very good friends of mine and ours, and it's an honor to have you guys today, that's for sure. So tell us a little bit about the history of how you guys got started in the jewelry business.
I will. Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
you
for sure.
guys are good friends of ours and everything. So, my quick 2 cents here. I was actually electrical lineman for about 11 years.
Yeah.
And father was in the jewelry business, and my wife and I were married. Yeah, I'm gonna mess this up, but I 89. And,
Be careful.
And we decided to quit our jobs. She worked at out at Sangamon State, and I was at the city. We both quit our jobs, came to work at the store.
I love it.
Took a bump the wrong way.
A little
in
bit
the
of
wages.
a pay cut.
Yeah. So anyway, started that. Worked with my father.
Who I remember, by the way, all those years ago.
With Chris and your dad.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So worked with my dad. My dad unfortunately passed in '98, but my dad was the catalyst of meeting everyone. We're going to talk later about networking, and he worked the other side of networking, the old style of networking, of meeting people, sitting down with you, talking to you, and things like that.
Yeah.
And he started our business, quite frankly, and getting the right people in our doors.
Yep.
My dad passed in 1998, unfortunately, and Gwen and I took the reins and started building the business more so. We eventually moved over to our location on Robbins Road in 2014.
Okay. Yeah.
That's our life, quite frankly. The kids give us a hard time because that's all we do is work, and we're there. But in a retail business, that's what you do, and that's the old way, I guess.
Yep.
But that's what we've done and grown it to where it's at today. Probably 4-5 years ago, did you come in?
5, maybe a little longer than 6 years ago.
6 years ago. So Josh had gone to school and played some golf and what have you, and decided that he liked the watch business.
Gotcha.
And was always nuts about watches and things like that. And so decided he wanted to start doing some business in watches at the store and what have you. And he came to the store and started working. He was always on his phone, and I was always complaining that he was always on his phone. What the heck are you always on your phone for? Well, come to find out that he needed to be on his phone, and down the road I figured that out and what have you. But beforehand,
Well, and having been on a few golf trips with him, he's always on his phone, but working all the time, right?
Absolutely.
And selling and buying and and not just to people in Springfield, right?
No. Most of the business, and he'll explain that to you. But before he got into that, in the watch business, we used to do shows. He did shows.
Yep.
And I didn't want anything to do with it. So I introduced him to a friend, and then also my brother, my youngest brother, who actually, I got ahead of it in my story. My youngest brother was in the jewelry business with my father early on. And when Gwen and I came into the business, my brother was very excited to be everywhere else but Springfield.
Gotcha.
Nothing wrong with Springfield. He just wanted to travel and do business in the wholesale end everywhere else. And so Frankie took off, went to Chicago, eventually landed in California, and he's there to this day. And we do business back and forth. He's in the wholesale end of it and so forth. So
Gotcha.
I introduced him not to this other guy, and then he knows his Uncle Frank, and they start doing some shows. And it's basically going to a show and going from table to table and introducing yourself and trying to buy a watch.
Gotcha.
And it's a tough gig.
And that's all wholesale.
It's all wholesale.
Right. Yeah. So it's like at a big convention center. Everybody's exhibiting, tons of exhibitors that have a little booth, something like the size of this table here, and they have their merchandise there, whether it's watches or jewelry. And that's what my uncle, he was going to every show. And so I started going to a show every month. And along with being on the phone, my dad wasn't very happy with me away at the shows every month. And it was a hustle. I remember, trying to make a profit or show my parents that I could make a profit. I was taking the train up to Chicago to catch that first Spirit flight out because it was the cheapest one. You sit in the back of the plane and I'd have, a couple $1,000s worth of merchandise wrapped around my ankle while I was, half asleep because I was dead from taking the train to the first Spirit flight out to get to that show and then staying at, the cheapest Motel 8 in the area and then hustling those shows. So that's where it first started. And getting in with these wholesale guys at these shows is no walk in the park. They don't want to deal with people they don't know, and especially if you're a younger kid. And at the time, I was just a young kid trying to figure things out, so I'm asking a lot of questions. And these guys don't, it
don't like
tough.
questions either. Right?
I'm lucky. I went to school. I went to school in the East Coast at Coastal Carolina University, and I think that got me ahead a little bit to working with these guys. Because when I went to Coastal, I got a rude awakening my first semester there. I thought I was going to a Southern school. I was going to see a lot of Southern kids and whatnot. But at Coastal Carolina, it's the first kind of beach pit stop from the Northeast.
Okay.
So everybody there is from New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Maryland, all these places that are a little bit, a little bit different than Midwest Josh. So I think that toughened me up a little bit for what I experienced in the wholesale world.
Yeah.
Yes.
And why my dad's wanted to be out of the wholesale world. And I learned why.
How big is that part of the business? Like the piece you're now are developing into
In our jewelry business, you mean? The jewelry business we do very well. We're very happy with Springfield and what we do. His part, he's taken our business to the next level.
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
the wholesale part, that is where I had made the connections to attain the product that I needed. So when I first started, I was probably 80%, even more, 80% wholesale and a lot lesser retail.
Oh, really?
Whereas 5 years down the road, I'd say it's flip flop, and I'm about 80% retail and 20% wholesale.
Okay.
But you had to make those connections and learn where to source pieces and who to trust and going to those shows. It's kind of transformed. A little bit more modern. These shows, you can kind of run it through your phone by getting in with these people at these shows. I don't go to as many shows anymore because I've now kind of been able to connect with all these people through different groups and just making a phone call. Which has made it nice to not have to travel to all the shows anymore.
And even talking to your dad, he was talking about these different chat sites and then how important your reputation is. And talk a little bit about that, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, so most importantly, the reputation. You get one chance with your name in this business, and once it goes stale, it's well known. But yeah, I'd say today I'm in probably maybe even 250 plus different groups, whether it be through WhatsApp or online, just random. There's a couple different chat sites that I'm in, and a lot of these groups are very tight knit. But yeah, about 200. And that's what you see me on my phone all the time is learning and going through, and it's like trading the stock. You can stay up to date with the pricing on these watches by staying up to date with these different groups that I'm in and seeing what things are selling for.
Yeah.
Did you do a lot of watch business prior to Josh coming on board?
We did a little bit, but nothing like what this is. The watch business wasn't as booming as what it is today. You may say, well, why is it booming? Because I can grab my cell phone and I can find the time.
Right.
It has nothing to do about the time.
Yeah.
It has to do with value and what things are worth today and what have you. So no, we did watches, but nothing like this. And COVID actually, which you can explain more about, but COVID really turned the tables on quite frankly everything in this world, and including this business.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a good question you're asking if he did many watches. It's interesting because I started working with a lot of guys that had a store like my dad. My dad didn't have time to follow the watch market closely, so he would do watches. Of course, when someone would come to him that buys jewelry with him or whatnot and says, "Hey, I'd like to buy a Rolex," he had a guy similar to me that he'd call and source it. So
go out and find it.
That was kind of my niche in the market when I first started in the wholesale world. Is I would go to different stores that were like what my father had. Yeah. And I would get in with these guys and say, hey, if you have a call for this, I can 9 times out of 10, I should be able to source it for you, or at least be able to put a number on it. So give me a call when you have a guy that's looking for something like this. So
that's awesome.
That's why, and probably one of the reasons why he wasn't really selling as many watches. Just it's a tough business. You need to be on your feet. And you need to stay up with it. It's hard to just stock a bunch of these pieces without following it all day and all night.
So you've seen a lot of changes, I would imagine, in the jewelry business over the years, correct?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then, like, I guess moving forward or thinking about what Josh is doing, I mean, do you see that as being the future for a lot of growth for the company and for your organization?
I believe so. Yes,
Yep.
I believe so. I think the watch business is going to be the way it is. Granted, when COVID was here, prices were staggering what they were paying for certain watches because the Rolex and the APs and the Richard Melleys and things like that weren't putting that product out. They couldn't get their product made supposedly quick enough to put in the cases.
Is that right?
So the secondary market became huge, and that's what happened. I don't foresee that. I believe the prices have come down. Correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But they're not going to. They're going to level out.
Right. The
and
thing
they're
is
still going to be very, very popular too.
Yeah, these brands, they only make so many watches a year, and their plan is to never make more than that. And in the watchmaker, being a watchmaker in today's day and age is a lost art. I mean, we don't even have really a watchmaker local here to handle stuff. Back in the day, there was a few, and they've literally died off.
Yeah.
It's a lost art. It's very hard work. It's hard to find these pieces and parts to use.
Sure.
And they can't charge enough to make a living in this town.
Right.
So all of ours are somewhere else that we go to have this done.
Interesting.
You probably saw a lot more watches outside of this market then.
Absolutely, absolutely,
like,
and that's one of the reasons why I'm traveling more today. I'm traveling to events and more networking. Just planting seeds, the dumbest way to say it.
Right.
And is because there's not. It wouldn't make a living in this market selling the high end watches of Springfield, but so yeah, it's worldwide now. We do sell worldwide, but majority just outside of Illinois.
That's cool.
I will say this that has put a feather in our hat is our business. As long as it's been around, we're a brick and mortar. We're a building. We're there. People can get on our website. They can see us. They can see that we're there.
Yeah, no,
a lot of business, a lot of people like Josh, unfortunately, are in a room that's 12 by 12, and they don't have the product. They're buying it and shipping it out. You don't know if you. So we have the inventory. We have the inventory and so on. And people get on our website, and that makes them feel much better that we've been in business for X amount of years. There's a destination. They can actually come in our store. And we've had people that will come in from New York and different things that we just wanted to come here and see.
Check it out.
It's pretty.
Well,
pretty
you guys
interesting.
provide great service too. I love
thank you.
Coming in there, and it's always the same people that are in there. Services, you guys do a phenomenal job on the service side for sure.
Well, and you mentioned reputation earlier. There's just something about having a physical location that appeals to a certain demographic and says these folks are legit. Right. I suspect that's a piece of that.
I would say that's a niche for me comparatively to majority of the guys that are selling the same stuff as me. Is that we do have a store and our name's in the front of the building, and they can get a hold of us pretty quickly.
That's awesome. Any cool stories about people you're selling watches to that you could share with us? Or?
One that sticks out that a really good relationship that I've built, and it's just off a random cold call, was a kid named Taylor Gooch. He's a professional golfer today. He's on the Live Tour. He was actually the Player of the Year, the Live Tour last year.
Oh, cool.
And he cold called me. He went to Oklahoma State University out of college. He bought just a Rolex Datejust and cold called the store and purchased it right then and there. And I remember seeing the name, and I was like, I watch a lot of golf, so I recognized the name. Yeah. He spells Taylor a different way, the only way I've ever seen it, Talor. And his last name's Gooch. So I just put two and two together and didn't think too much of it, but he ended up following up and following my Instagram and shooting me a message. And then always stayed in touch through Instagram, stuff like that, messaging and saying, hey, that's a cool watch you have there. What's the details on that? Yeah. This, that, or the other. But just a super organic relationship. And then it really jumped off about 2 years ago. His agent had reached out to me and was, said, we'd like to do something with you to get some more watches. And I'll never forget, I got on the phone call with him, and I was like, I'm more than honored to have a phone call from you guys, but I got to be honest with you. I'm in no position to give away, a $20,000 watch or pay to put my, it's the first thing I called him. I was like, I can't pay to put my logo on you to work something out. It won't make sense for me here in Springfield, Illinois. And the agent responded to me. Preston responded. He said, That's probably the best thing you could have said, kid. He's like, we're not really looking for anything. We just all want watches, and we can't get them.
Wow,
And he's
that's
like,
awesome.
So from there, he invited me out to an event, and I got to meet the whole team. And these guys are as good as gold. Taylor's super, super famous now, and he acts like just a normal dude. And I've gotten to know their whole team, and I've ran around with them, gone to probably more than a half dozen events with them, and they've been really, really cool. Gotten to know his wife very well as well. So that I would say that's probably one of my favorite stories.
Well, and even your partnership or your friendship that you've developed with this, is it Ryan Ganos? You were talking about him. Talk a little bit about how you guys kind of network together to help each other's business, which I think is genius.
Yeah, so that's a good story, and we just got back from the waste management tournament. I've been going to that probably for 4 years now, just networking. And I was at an event. Ryan is a really good friend with J.R. Smith.
Okay.
And J.R. Smith a few years ago was doing the college golf thing. And so
I forgot about that. Yeah.
So I had Jake,
NBA basketball player.
Yeah. My older brother Jake and I went to the waste management. We got invited to this event. It's the brand's called Malbon, and they've now are in the golf world. They're actually sponsoring Jason Day. He's wearing their gear. But anyways, Ryan was at this Malbon event, checking it out for J.R. Smith to see if J.R. should sign with these guys. And I happened to be there, and Ryan saw a watch that I was wearing and was really intrigued with it. And we have started up a conversation, and the rest is kind of history from there. We probably stayed in touch every single day since then, about 3 years ago, and we're just with him down there. But he runs a business called All Access, and they take guys on golf trips, whether it be overseas. He's got an office in Ireland, to Scotland, and England.
Wow.
And but they also take guys to different events, and such as the waste management. So he has 11 boxes there at the 16th, the Sky boxes on 16 there.
How much fun was that?
Yeah,
was
the
it a
place
great
to be
time?
at that tournament.
It's a good spot.
It
for
looks
sure.
like it gets wilder and wilder every year.
Yeah, no
I've been there
kidding.
one time. It's a cool place for sure.
They do a good job.
Yeah.
I would say, but so Ryan brings tons of clients out there. I think he said he had 3,000 this last trip, 3,000 different clients, and usually he's selling these boxes to corporate guys and whatnot. But he's introduced me. He takes me around and introduces me to guys at these boxes, and it's really good setting seeds to meeting people and networking. And he's introduced me to tons of guys in that world. He's big in the golf world. He's taken me out to a lot of really cool golf courses as well. So a great relationship. And like I said, it's something you can't put a dollar on.
Right.
Of just going and networking and shaking hands and telling people what you do, and it's definitely paid off for us. And it's a lot of work, to people that see us, make a post on Instagram and stuff. They just like, he's out.
He's out at the golf outing again,
partying
right?
again,
He's out at
having
the golf
fun.
tournament. Yeah.
And this year is kind of fun because I brought Matt White
Yep.
and a couple different guys local here that have done business with me, and a couple different clients as well to this event. And they showed up there and they're, cracking a beer, grabbing a case of beers and looking to have fun. And I'm like, boys, we got an event to go to.
We got work to do.
We got to go network.
That's
Get
what
your
Matt
shovel.
said.
We're going to the
He goes,
trenches.
man, he's a hell of a salesman. He goes, but we're working.
So we're going to different events that we've been lucky to get invited to by just being around at an event like the waste management. During the waste management, the cool part about it is from like Monday to Sunday, every night there's a different, tons of different events that different businesses are doing. And we did a putting contest this year. We did a hole-in-one giveaway at a Good event. A Good is a company that's in the golf world today, sells, actually they got famous off just literally YouTubing them playing golf.
Oh, really? Okay.
No kidding.
So we were at that event this year.
No hole-in-ones, though?
No hole-in-ones.
Thankfully.
Guys like Michael Block, who played, he was a professional golfer. Johnny Manziel.
Yeah, I saw Johnny Manziel. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
There are different guys like that are out at these events. And
how was Johnny Manziel, by the way?
He was a great dude.
Was he?
I know he's been through a lot of stuff.
Sure.
It seems like the guy's really made a turn for the right recently, and great dude. I mean, he sat and talked to me for a long time, gave me his information, and stayed in contact actually throughout the weekend.
Oh, that's cool.
But cool to meet these guys, and they real knows real, and they respect you when you tell them what you're here for and what you're doing, and they give you a lot of respect for it, and I appreciate that.
That's awesome. Now I know Jake and Cynthia are moving back.
Yes.
Is Jake getting involved or in the business at all? Is he gonna?
Yes, Jake has always been involved in. He always did all of our websites and things like that. But no, he and Josh do work well together. Jake is going to help out a little bit with the watches and things like that.
Yep.
He still has a day job, but. And he
does
loves
pretty
what
well,
he
I
does.
think.
Yeah, he does well in that, and so they'll be back here in March.
Yep.
So from Colorado. So yeah, he's going to be involved with us and be at the office, and so it's really exciting to have your family here.
Yep.
And
that's cool.
So I'm very, very blessed in that end.
I'd say that's one of the cooler things about traveling to these events is my sister came as well, and Jake came, and a lot of people love to see that you meet somebody, then you introduce them to your sister and your brother, and it's a family event. Mom and dad are at the office and running business there, so it's very cool. But Jake's always been involved. He's
yes.
My dad and I are the best way to put it, the dumb ones comparatively to Jake. We're more in the street. We're in the streets hustling, figuring out how to sell things. Whereas Jake, he always ran our website and still runs our website and does a lot of the tech stuff.
Right.
He stole all the brains.
I'm glad you said that out loud. I've been thinking that for years, and now it's been confirmed. So
we got the short end, but
back to you're talking about the networking and the events and folks who think, he's just out at another golf tournament. It just speaks to the value of relationships. I have always said anything I've ever been involved in personally or professionally that's turned out really well, it's all based on the quality of the relationships that we build with other people.
I couldn't agree
and it takes work to do that.
Absolutely.
And to earn trust and to keep a good reputation and to connect with people at a point where they're going to trust you to do business with you.
Absolutely.
It's not hard. You have to be honest and have a good personality.
Right.
No, if you have a great personality and you're honest.
Yeah, that's right.
I think you can
Pretty
do
simple.
about anything.
Yeah. But a lot of people make it a lot more complex than it needs to be. But
for sure.
What's tough is you meet these guys and you have a first time contact with them, but those relationships expire and they expire quickly, rapidly.
Yeah.
So it's really maintaining and staying in touch with them. That's one thing my brother did is after when we first started going to some of these events, he set up a Google Doc, just something just so plain as a Google Doc, and you put in what their name is, what your connection was when you met them, or their phone number, or just something that you can refer back to. And when you think of, hey, what was that guy's name, you can kind of refer back to it. So that's something that we've done with a lot of these events is just kind of jot stuff down on paper.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, how big of an area do you guys cover? And I know, being from Decatur, I know a lot of folks come over here and work with you guys. And I mean, do you draw out of Bloomington
in the
Metro
jewelry
East?
business? We probably are 40, 50 mile radius. I'm Jacksonville. We're going to go Decatur way and so forth. Lincoln, and up that way. No, Bloomington. They've got some great stores there. They don't. No, I had a few customers, but for the most part, we're 40, 50 mile radius.
Gotcha.
The jewelry business doesn't do what the watch business does as far as the internet.
Okay, gotcha.
We're not the right name. We're not a Tiffany, a Cartier, and things like that. So. People aren't looking. Giganti is not known all over to get on there and buy a ring or a piece of jewelry and so forth. Now, I was very lucky enough to go up at Rich Harvest a handful of times. A good friend of ours who's a member there, and the caddy called me the other day. He's just bought an engagement ring, and his sister's buying an engagement ring. But that was from just being
networking. Getting to know
the relationship again.
So talk a little bit about any new trends that might be coming. Like, I had no idea that there were diamonds that were, I guess, made.
The lab-grown diamonds.
The lab-grown diamonds.
Yes.
Is that a trend, or is that something that's
taking off? It has taken off. Probably 6-7 years ago, we started selling the lab-grown diamonds. I probably sell 70-75% lab-grown diamonds. We still sell natural diamonds still. It is a diamond. It was just grown in 4 walls. And it takes 3 to 6 months. It's grown into a rock, and eventually they cut it into different shapes and so forth. The jury's still out as far as what the values will be tomorrow. If we keep selling a lot of labs, then what will happen? We just can't say.
Gotcha.
But it's a good thing because now everyone can afford something. And that's a good thing for everyone. And but you know what? It just comes back to you. What your preference is, what you feel is your cup of tea, and we'll sell you what you prefer.
Yeah. Any challenges in your business that keep you awake at night? Because we have a ton. We have a ton in ours.
Every day,
every single day,
right? I'm very, 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 very lucky to have a great group of people that are salespeople for me. I'm very lucky. You always hold your breath that one's not going to. I'm going to retire. I'm not going to. So finding that is probably the toughest. I'm sure the same with you is finding, people. I don't want to say that we call everybody family, but we're really pretty much family. Everyone
Yeah.
You know,
It sure feels like that when you
try.
come in there. You know.
We try.
How many people do you guys have overall?
We're with 10.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's plenty. And we're not looking to open a store somewhere else or anything like that. We're just, but and we're going to we need some more. We're going to hire some more because with Josh's business that's involved with with Giganti Jewelry, we need more things. You know, more people to touch things.
Sure. So what's the future look like for you guys? Continue kind of doing what you're doing? Do you see a big growth opportunity in Josh on your side of the business?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, but I don't see any monumental changes. You know, it's not like we want to go open up somewhere else.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Kind of going back to just hiring people, and especially in the jewelry game, it's, you know, there's expensive pieces, and you know, you need to kind of have your finger on it.
Sure.
But no, maintain what we're doing. I'm looking for a little bit more help right now to kind of help with what I do, so I can maintain the networking side of things. My brother coming back to help a little bit is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
By far, you know, him and I really enjoy this, and he kind of is gotten to understand it more and more. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
exciting. Have him back.
We'll see. We'll see what my little sister does.
Yeah.
She loves it. And
Is she looking at getting into the business maybe as well?
I think there's a possibility. She hints towards it for sure. But you know, like my family all told me is the same thing as I tell her is go do other things, meet other people, figure other things out, and this is always here for you. We're always going to be here. So I want her to figure other things out. But I would be more than happy for her to. Absolutely.
That's great.
I want to circle back earlier. You said the watch business is similar to the stock market. They really are commodities, right? The
Absolutely.
watches that you're selling.
And that's kind of what helped it jump in during the COVID times is in you know, with crypto and everything like that is people wanted different places to put their money. And it's a good spot to hold your money as if you look at charts of, you know, just Rolex charts from the years ago. Like watches my grandfather sold 30 years ago for $1,500. Today that watch is probably worth $2,500, or at least maintains its value. You know, the wear and tear on it's gonna bring the value back to probably what he paid for it. But some of these watches are worth double. So it's interesting.
So do you have a particular watch that you just love that you like? I love wearing this watch, or
Pretty much, there's a handful of Patek Nautilus and Aquanuts that are my two of my favorite watches. And
By the way, I've never heard of those.
I don't have it either, and we probably can't afford them.
Right, for sure.
Who are you kidding? To kind of compare it to Rolex. Rolex makes about 1 million watches a year, whereas Patek makes about 40,000 watches a year.
Oh, really?
And that's across their, you know, all the watches they make. So women's and all the different models. So in a Nautilus or an Aquanut, you know, only you know, a small amount, you know, less than a couple thousand are produced a year of these models. So there's just, you know, watches are very, very, we don't see it here in Springfield, Illinois, but in different countries, they're extremely, extremely popular. So when there's only that many made a year, it gets pretty tight to find one of these.
Oh, I bet.
And an MSRP price on some of these watches would be probably about $30,000 to $40,000, and a lot of these trade for double that MSRP. As soon as it comes off the lot. But like they say, to get one of those watches, it's something you get your name on a list for your grandkid to someday, you know, get that watch.
No kidding.
It's not an easy process to get your name on a list and get one of those watches.
What can you talk about the most expensive watch you've ever sold or bought or traded?
You know, when I say the numbers, people think that there's some crazy profit on it, and it's, you know, I would say it's less than, you know, decimal points of the margins on some of these watches. But there was a watch that we sold as an Audemars Piguet, and it was a special edition for the Black Panther. So it's a very limited release, a Marvel Black Panther, and this watch sold for $420,000.
Wow, amazing! Unbelievable. That's crazy.
And of course, I mean, the client that bought this watch was not in the U.S. He was in Hong Kong.
So you were overseas when you?
I was in Asia at the time. So how'd you know?
That was pretty cool. And then the other one that I do a lot in is one of my other favorite brands is Richard Mille. And that brand, comparatively to Rolex and Patek, they make 4,000 watches a year.
Man.
So very, very exclusive. These watches MSRPs range in the six figures.
Wow, that's incredible.
I had no idea.
I didn't either.
That world even existed.
It's crazy. And actually, Bubba Watson, he wears one. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. He wears the Richard Mille, and I think the one that he wears is like, I think the new one they wears might be $1 million.
Is that right? Wow.
It's named after him and all.
That's cool.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I don't think many people knew of that watch around the nation until Bubba Watson started wearing it, because he golfs with it on him every time he plays.
And
it's white.
Okay.
It's a white.
What's crazy about this brand is they have some elite marketing because the watches they're producing are usually after a famous athlete. So Rafael Nadal has one.
Okay.
Nelly Korda, she's a professional golfer in the LPGA. She wears one. And then there's a couple like professional F1 racers, and McLaren does a release with them.
Wow.
And professional skiers as well. So it's interesting how they market their pieces comparatively to like a Rolex.
That's pretty cool.
So when you came back and got engaged with the family business, what did you say, 6 years or so ago? How much did you know about the watch industry at that time?
I knew what a Rolex Submariner was, which is like the most iconic, kind of James Bond made it iconic. That was my always, when I was even like 15 years old, I was always on Craigslist or on eBay, always just keeping an eye on these and trying to, always offering, see one up there for $8,000. I was 15 years old and I was offering them $5,000, try to buy it and make $250 or whatever.
So you've always had an interest.
Yeah,
obviously.
definitely. I mean, back when I was young, when I'd go into the store, the first place I walked to was the watch case. Always, before I even went in and said hi to my dad in the back office, I'd go see what was in the watch case, and then go to my dad and be like, "How can I get that watch out of there and on my wrist?"
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
So what do you attribute that to? Was there something particular that
probably my my grandfather, my dad's dad, who started the business, he'd given me a watch that I still have today that's on my desk, a tiny little watch, and he always kind of was into watches, and I just kind of like cars. I was never as much into cars, but I'd say I was because of him and my dad. My grandfather always found a way to have a cool car. And so it's the same as the watches.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
a pretty neat story.
Yeah,
I like it.
Well, you got to ask Carl the question.
The question.
Yeah, Josh is too young.
It's really not that big of a question. Josh can ponder this as he's thinking about the next 20 years. So a lot of times I'll ask folks, hey, if you could go back and tell your younger self something based on all the things you've learned over the last 20 or 30 years, what advice would you give your younger self?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, I don't think I'd change too much. Being an electrical lineman taught me a lot, believe it or not. Not that I'm going to go wire a house I did all my stuff was outside, climbing poles and whatever, so I can't say anything like that. I would say to myself, pay attention to, when I got in the jewelry business, pay attention to the market a lot more of certain products and things like that, and keep your nose to the grindstone and be nice to people and push it along, because this is a great town. Yeah. We've got great people that are around us and friends and things like this, and they've helped us tremendously. So I don't know. I don't know if I'd change much. Just
that's what a lot of people say. Yeah. Because I mean,
it was a great learning experience. My wife Gwen has been with us forever. She's if I'm 1A, she's 1B, or if she's 1A, I'm 1B. Yeah. What she does right now is even more than any of us do. She runs all the accounting and we wire money everywhere.
Yeah,
and that's the other part, is that there's not many credit cards, not many cashier's checks, everything. It's all wiring, and so she runs that part of it, and so that's been really good. But I think I'd keep doing the same thing.
One of the things we hear, a fairly common theme from folks, is they'll oftentimes say, I wish I had enjoyed the journey more instead of always looking at what hill was I going to climb next. And for me, that's even still to this day great advice. I'm always looking for what's the next thing, and the next hill to climb.
Yeah, right. But you know what, though? I know I wasn't handed the silver spoon, so I wish I could have enjoyed more of it, but quite frankly, if I would have enjoyed more of it, I wouldn't have gotten further ahead. It's so hard to
I agree
to enjoy it while you're getting there. And now that we're older, as much as Josh, Dad, you got to go with us to waste management. You got to go with us to waste management. And I'm like,
I know.
Don't misunderstand me. It would have been nice to go there. There were so many. This is my old self talking now. Yeah. So many things going on. So many people and everything like that. And quite frankly, I don't want to work that hard at it anymore. Back here. Now I'll go different ones with them and so on, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, again, you hit the nail on the head. I think you're talking about just learning to enjoy and embrace the daily grind.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't do that.
Right.
I mean,
No, I
life and business
Right.
can be a grind. And if you're not up for it, it can wear you out really quickly.
no.
I read a book some years ago. I think the title was called Pound the Stone. And the whole idea of it is every time you're using the sledgehammer on this gigantic stone, keep going because you never know which blow is going to crack that big rock open.
That's
and
right.
it was a great book about just the daily grind. Every
Yep.
single day, just continuing to go after it.
It is. The only, one thing I will say is that running your own business isn't what anyone ever, no one ever understands it.
That's right.
There's, I'm not gonna. I didn't walk through 10 feet of snow with no shoes and all that other stuff. But
Right.
there were times that we didn't cash paychecks for a while.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
you're
Oh yeah.
when you own your own
That's
business,
right.
it's a tough gig. But
And
and there's and don't misunderstand me. There's some great perks
Right.
to it later too.
Well,
Just
I
gotta-
agree, and I think when you have people, I mean, obviously, like in our business, I get up every day and take a shower, and I think to myself, what is going to happen today that I have not planned for? And you know what I'm talking about. Last week, it was like we were having a great day, and one of our employees, rear ends another vehicle, and I'm like, oh, is everybody okay? You know what I mean? And that's the first thing that pops to mind, and the same in your business, or whatever
Right.
that is.
Absolutely.
It's every day, but you're right. There are a lot of benefits to owning your own business, but a lot of headaches that come with it too. That's for sure. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah. Anything
So-
else? Any other questions we got for the Gigantis?
Good stuff.
I really appreciate you guys coming in today, and I consider you guys great friends. We've had a lot of great memories, and you've been very good to me and welcoming in since I moved over here from Decatur, and look forward to a lot more memories together. That's for sure. So.
Well, thank you for inviting us. I'm sure Josh has more to say, but thank you for inviting us. This is great.
Good.
We
I
appreciate you
enjoyed
guys
it.
doing it
Yeah,
for
no,
sure.
this is awesome. Really appreciate it, and couldn't be happier that you guys did come here and whatnot, and especially with bringing on him, bro. He's, I never got to know Todd very well, and I always heard great things. I've gotten to know his kids of recent, and so I know he had to be an amazing guy.
He
so
was.
how good his kids are, but
Awesome. Yeah.
you couldn't have found a better guy to take over, and
Yes,
very,
thank you.
very happy
Yeah.
to be here with
I'll
you
pay
guys.
you.
And-
I'll pay you
Well,
after we're done.
and Todd,
We all say that.
Yeah, we wanted to
almost
bring
have.
Chris on board. It's just that at the time our business wasn't maybe growing as fast as we thought it was, and coming into a new market, certainly the overhead that we added. But he would be having a ball right now with us doing all this
he
kind of
would.
stuff.
Yeah.
For sure.
He was a great
Absolutely.
dude.
So,
Yes,
but
he
thanks again for coming, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Likewise.
I
Thank you
appreciate
guys.
it.
I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you guys.
for sure.
Thanks so much.
You betcha.